if you're seeking freedom in a revolution, oh, if you're seeking freedom, you won't find it there. For once the guns are blazing, you'll find it amazing how the world can drag on just as before.
If you're seeking freedom in a marble mansion,
oh, if you're seeking freedom, you won't find it there. For even when it's sunny, you'll be counting money, keeping up that showcase your face lined with care.
And if you're seeking freedom on a throne of power,
oh, if you're seeking freedom, you won't find it there. For though men all obey you, what if they betray you? Hence you'll be and waiting for foes everywhere.
But if you're seeking freedom, cast away desires.
Why barter like a beggar, you've wealth everywhere. For never can you buy it, grasp and you deny it. Freedom can't be hoarded, it's free as the air. And if you're seeking freedom, seek it on the mountains. Got sunlight on your shoulders, the wind in your hair. For there's no one can hold you, boss about or mold you. Once your heart is free, you'll be king everywhere. For there's no one can hold you, boss about or mold you. Once your heart is free, you'll be king everywhere. There's joy in the heavens, a smile on the mountains, and melody sings everywhere. The flowers are all laughing to welcome the morning. Your soul is as free as the air. The flowers are all laughing to welcome the morning. Your soul is as free as the air. Leave home in the sunshine, dance through a meadow, or sit by a stream and just be. The lilt of the water will gather your worries and carry them down to the sea. The lilt of the water will gather your worries and carry them down to the sea. Men hunger for freedom but don't see the dungeon. It's only the thought that they're bound. Desires are their shackles, they hope that tomorrow the doorway to joy will be found. Desires are their shackles, they hope that tomorrow the doorway to joy will be found. There's joy all around us, why wait till tomorrow? We've only this moment to live. A heaven within us is ours for the finding, a freedom no riches can give. A heaven within us is ours for the finding, a freedom no riches can give. There's joy in the heavens, a smile on the mountains, a melody sings everywhere. The flowers are all laughing to welcome the morning, your soul is as free as the air. The flowers are all laughing to welcome the morning, your soul is as free as the air. The flowers are all laughing to welcome the morning, your soul is as free as the air.
Isn't that beautiful music? It's just brilliant, isn't it? The lyrics, the melodies, the harmonies, they're so pure and so direct. We're so grateful that Swami had this divine inspiration to compose music as an instrument for higher awareness and for teaching us things. In the class at the end of last year, we were talking about how much life really is our teacher and how many messages arrive to us to help us along our way and how they arrive every day. And I suspect that already, just in the first few hours of this new year, many messages have been arriving to you. I'd like to read you two others, both of them from Paramahansa Yogananda. And then we're going to take just a few minutes to reflect on these hours, since midnight today, and the message that you received with your purification, the things that you've already heard, the music, the affirmation. There's been a lot already. I mean, almost a life's worth has come in these first few hours. So I'd like to read to you these messages, and then we'll spend a little time just harvesting the first few hours of this year. This first message is from a letter that Yogananda wrote to a disciple who had written to him, probably asking for some comfort. I think she was going through a difficult time. And this is just part of the letter that he wrote back. Your troubles I do not mind. I will never give up my job about you. It is better to conquer one evil and not live with it forever. Never for a moment identify yourself with momentary flashes of error. A smooth life is not a victorious life, and I will give you lots of my good karma so you will get through. A smooth life is not a victorious life, and I will give you lots of my good karma so you will get through. These few sentences, there's so much wisdom, isn't there? And so much inspiration. I very often remember this phrase, a smooth life is not a victorious life. But also the second part of that, remember the three blessings? A human body, a true teaching, and a true guru. So a smooth life is not a victorious life. God doesn't mind our troubles. And I will give you lots of my good karma so you will get through. The great blessing of having a guru. Let's give him a chance this year to do his 25%. Because he does have lots of good karma, he has lots of power and strength, and it is his job to lift from us many of our burdens. This is another message from Yogananda, and if you want to be taking notes, please do so, because there's just so many things coming, minute by minute this day. Let me give you just a couple minutes now before we move into the next message, to give you a chance to reflect on what you've just heard, on the success affirmation that we read. I leave behind me both my failures and achievements. What I do today will create a new and better future. The message that you received last night, or should I say in the first moments of today. Let's take just a few moments to reflect on what these messages mean for us, for our directions this year. Isn't it fascinating how much we're able to perceive when we're aware, when we're conscious? And just think if we could live this whole year being this conscious, how much progress we could make. There's an anecdote that I read in a book of spiritual anecdotes. It's a conversation between a guru and a disciple, and the disciple says to his guru, Guruji, what can we do to achieve illumination? And the Guru answers, as little as you can do to make the sun rise. And the disciple is really perplexed, and he says, but Master, then why do you give us all these practices? And the Guru says, to make sure that when the sun rises, you're awake. So spirituality, the spiritual path, is a process of becoming more and more awake. If we could be totally awake every minute, in such a short time, we could accomplish everything that we've come into this life to accomplish. So let's be awake and listen to Yogananda's message for the new year. This is a message that he wrote to his students in 1938. Our old tutor of the last year has just passed away. Let us remember the valuable lessons that he taught us, and thus dedicate our future actions on the altar of the coming new year. Let us remember the dire discipline which we received as a result of our erroneous ways, and let us not repeat them on the sanctum of the new year, decorated with the fresh blossoms of our new hopes. Let us remember the joyous instructions and blissful experiences of the past year, and let us repeat them with greater intensity in the coming new year. Let us forget the sorrows of the past and make up our minds not to bring them back in the coming year. With new determination and unflinching will, let us make up our mind to renew our life, our better habits, our successes in the temple of the new year. If the last year was hopelessly bad, the new year must be hopefully good. Remember, no matter what our trials have been, or how discouraged we are, if we will make a continued effort to be better and to succeed, we will find that, being made in the image of God, we are endowed with unlimited power, much stronger than our worst trials, no matter what they may be. Let us make up our minds that we will win, focusing all our concentration on the ceaseless efforts to succeed in the new year, and we will surely be victorious. Remember that our past difficulties did not come to crush us, but to strengthen our determination to use our limitless divine powers to succeed. God wants us to conquer the difficult tests of life and come back to his home of wisdom. Let us return in this new year. Now write down some word or phrase that captured your attention in this message. Let's just take a moment to capture that concept, that message. Yesterday in our class, we made a determination that we would let go of a bad habit and then consequently create new ones, good ones, for the new year. And I promised you that I would share with you, and I'm going to do this, Yogananda's approach to how to do this. Wanting to do it is the biggest part. If we really want to let go, we're halfway there. And we will find the ways to do that, and there are many ways to do that. And when we want to establish good habits that will get us closer to God, there are also ways to do that. So let's talk about letting go of bad habits. Do you have one in mind? Perhaps the one you wrote down on the piece of paper yesterday and last night and burned up. There's two aspects, Yogananda says, to overcoming negative habits. The first one we can say is the yama part meaning to push it away. Yogananda says that it is very important not to feed habits with thoughts or actions, or with environments or people. Now, all of these are part of the anatomy of habits, how they're formed. A habit is formed first by a desire, by a thought, which we clothe into action. We need to find the thought that instigates, that motivates, that's the click for that habit. For example, let's say a person drinks alcohol and wants to overcome it. That's probably not anybody's problem here, but it's a good example. So a person is drinking, wants to overcome it. What is the thought in his mind that causes him to go for that drink? What do you think?
To bring him satisfaction and happiness or something.
He's looking for happiness there, but why? What does he need?
Kind of relief from the worries and what
All right,
the mental tension.
okay. I'm worried, I'm stressful, life is difficult, I need to relax, I need a break. So I'll have a drink, and the drink is going to do something in my brain. It's going to cause me to worry less, or at least not worry now, and just get into a state where I'm not worrying. So what does the person really want from that drink? He wants a state of calmness, right? He wants a state of peace. He wants a state where he's not stressed, where he's not worried. Is there anything bad about that desire? To achieve a state of peace, of calmness, of not worrying. It's very good. I mean, we need that. What's wrong with the picture?
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work by that action. At least it doesn't work permanently. Maybe it works for a while. It's the same thing with having some coffee or chai. Why do we do that? We need a pickup, right? It's morning, I need to face the day, let me kind of get up high on the wave, so I'm there. And then maybe at 11 o'clock, oh well, my wave of energy is low, I need another pickup. And so we get picked up. Is there anything wrong with wanting to face life with energy? Of being high with energy? No, we need to do that. It's one of the main points of Raja Yoga, is learning how to use our willpower to have energy. We need to face life with more energy than we have, with a superior form of energy. Is there anything wrong at this point? No, it's a good desire, that's taking us down there to get that chai or to get the coffee. What's wrong with the picture?
Temporary action.
It's temporary. It's temporary. We'll get the shot of energy, and especially if we combine the chai or the coffee maybe with some sugary biscuits or cake or whatever, then we'll really get it. And then make them chocolate, so you have caffeine, sugar, and chocolate all together, and woo, there you are. And a couple hours later, it's the lows. So we're on the roller coaster of life. The highs and the lows, the reactive process. But the desire is not bad. And that's what we need to realize, that behind all of our negative habits and actions, there is perhaps very buried and hard to find a good desire. We want peace, we want more energy, and so forth. So the first part of the practice is to catch the thought, I need a break. And then we're going to redirect that. But that thought, when it leads you to take the drink or go for the coffee, we need to, if this is what you're working on, stop that. You're just not going to, as Yogananda says, don't feed your habits with renewed actions. That's the ammunition of an old habit. The ammunition is repeated thought forms that lead you to repeated actions. They said you have to stop it, or at least stay away from it. Every action that we do, especially a habit, it's a pattern. A pattern involves many things. It's not just a single thing. Yogananda reminds us of the power of environment. When we're in a certain environment, like we're in this environment right now, it is easier for us to what? To meditate, to be calm, to be loving, to be kind, to be generous. Because this is that kind of environment. When we're in other environments, there are other attitudes and thought forms and actions that the environment stimulates. So if we are always working, at full speed, in a situation where everybody's running, what are we going to do? We're going to be influenced by that. And we're going to try to get faster and faster and faster. If we have a problem with drinking or caffeine, and we go to an environment where people are enjoying that or think they're enjoying that, we will be drawn in by that magnetism. So the better part of wisdom, if we want to let a habit go, is to avoid the environments in which we are most likely to engage in that habit. A person who wants to overcome drinking has got to stay away from the bars. Has to. And maybe the ego says, well, if you're really strong, you could go there and not drink. And so what's the answer to that? That's true. I'm just not strong enough yet. And maybe someday I will be able to do that. Questionable. For an alcoholic. Okay. Stay away from the environment. Not just the bar. What else do you have to stay away from if you're an alcoholic?
Friends who drink.
Excuse me?
Friends who drink.
Friends who drink. We're going to get to company in a minute. But what about actions? What do you have to not do? Don't buy the bottle. Don't keep it in your house. Get rid of it. Same thing with smoking. You smoke. Don't buy the cigarettes. Don't go to places where people are smoking. Don't go to parties where people are drinking or smoking. If you want to overcome attachment, dependence on caffeine, what are you going to avoid? What? You're going to avoid Starbucks. For sure, you're going to avoid the coffee houses. Okay, we're going to get there. Okay, that's the next part. It's obvious where we're going is that we're going to be substituting. But first, Yogananda says, you have to put yourself out of the magnetic field of the bad habit. And we can't think that we can succeed without doing that. So we want to be very careful, very precise, and understand in what environment am I going to engage in that bad habit. Do you have your hand up?
Yeah. What about sleep? Because how do you avoid the environment of sleep?
Don't go to bed.
So what does Krishna say in Bhagavad Gita? Yoga is not for he who sleeps too much or sleeps not at all. Okay. So it's about the middle path. So what's the problem? We have to sleep. I mean, a person would literally go out of their mind because sleep is a part of the natural cycle. We have a human body. The human body needs to sleep. Okay. Even masters sleep, although their sleep is very different. They're sleeping at a higher level. They are able to go without sleep for long periods of time when they need to, and they're using their willpower, setting an example. Because sometimes we limit ourselves. Like on Mahashivaratri. Can you stay up all night?
Yes.
Yeah, chanting and meditating, yes. And the next day, can you get through the day? Yes. Why? Because with chanting and meditating and doing spiritual things, we get filled up with a higher quality of energy. So a yogi, one who meditates especially, and meditates quite a bit, needs less sleep. Less sleep. You know, instead of 8 hours, you might need 6 hours or just 5 hours. Some people can go on 4 hours of sleep. But you can't avoid it. And you don't want to. The question should be, how can I get the most out of my sleep time? Now that's a whole other ball game there. We need to sleep well, and if we sleep well, we don't need to sleep as much, and we can dedicate the time we save to other activities. So how can we sleep well? The first thing is by going to bed early, because sleep before 12 o'clock is worth twice as much as sleep after 12 o'clock, after midnight. Yeah. Going to bed early, not eating heavily at night, or not eating at all, or just eating light, maybe, a soup or a salad or whatever. Not going to bed after you have eaten. Going to bed with high consciousness. Going to sleep, laying down, and consciously going into a sleep state by relaxing the tensions in the body. Master suggests prone position at night, very gently to tense and relax the tension in each body part. The purpose is not to energize the body, because if you do this with the wrong method, you won't sleep. But if you do it properly, you go into the foot, just gather the tension lightly and let it go. And one part after another, just relax. I've never been able to finish this exercise. I get about halfway up and gone, but relaxed. And then Master says, if you can get through the whole exercise, practice a little home song, your meditation mantra. Just let that take you into a higher sleep, a higher state. I am spirit. I am spirit. So that you go to sleep with the identification of your higher self, rather than I am exhausted. I have worked so much. I can't wait to sleep. And then we don't sleep well. Swami says, never go to bed with the thought that you're exhausted. Go to bed with the thought that you are energy, you are light. So there are ways to improve the quality of our sleep and to have really good dreams, superconscious dreams. Subconscious dreams are, can be frightening or irritating or a waste of time, but superconscious dreams. If we go to sleep in this way, we can have superconscious dreams. And in these dreams, it's amazing what can happen. Masters can come to us. They can give us advice. They can help us. We can work out karma, even in our dreams. Unfortunately, we can create karma too, but we won't go there. So improving the quality of our sleep is something we would like to do. Now let's go back to avoiding the environment. There are external environments that you definitely want to avoid. And let's include in this what Shurjo brought up, which is the next point, your company. when you are with certain people, you are more likely to have certain thought forms, to feel in certain ways, to do certain actions. If you are with people who gossip, who say negative things about other people, you're more likely to think negatively and to get into it. Please avoid gossip sessions. Master said, really, avoid it like the plague. If you are anywhere where people are talking about somebody else, especially negatively, just leave. It's their own, they're going to do what they're going to do. But you can make your choice. Just leave. If you need to be calm, inwardly, I'm going back to environment for a second, and you go into a store or a restaurant that's very loud and where they're playing hard music, it's your choice. You can leave. You don't need to be there. Learn to do that. I go into a store to buy something. If there's a really bad music and terrible, I'll leave. I'll go somewhere else to find it, because I'm not going to let myself be in that vibration. Especially with eating. When we're eating, we're absorbing. That's what eating is about. We're taking things in. Master recommended not to eat in restaurants if you can avoid it, or to do so consciously for many reasons. The vibrations of the cook. If you don't know who's cooking your food, that's why you like the food so much here. The food here is simple, right? But it's prepared with love. It's prepared with higher consciousness. In the kitchen, there's elevated music that's playing. The environment that we're eating in is calm. This is the best place to do everything. It's the best place to eat and to have friends and to meditate. So if you're going to go to a restaurant, choose wisely. And if you go in, I do this all the time, with great kindness. I go into a restaurant and there's loud music playing. The first thing I do is I go to the waiter or to the person responsible and say, would it be possible either to change the music to something a little more calm, or turn it down, or turn it off? And usually the person will say, oh yes. Because often they're doing it just from themselves. They're bored and they want to listen to their favorite music. And it might take a couple times, to actually get it done. But if they say no, our customers, really enjoy this music, then I will say, oh, well, that's fine, but excuse me, I'm going to go elsewhere. And I just walk out of the restaurant and choose another restaurant. Because why spend an hour or 2 hours in an environment that's not cheating, that's harmful to us? So the same with everything. Now, let's go back to people. How can we avoid our friends? That's easier than how can we avoid our relatives? Now, oftentimes, our relatives and our friends are not good influences on us for something that we're trying to achieve. Now let's go back, for those of you who are here, to the subject of free will. Remember that free will is the divine gift. It's what God gave us so that we could evolve more quickly and come home sooner. Now, we have to use our free will. Free will means making conscious choices. And we can choose. We can't choose our relatives, but we can choose the amount of time we spend with them and in what situations. We can even choose to answer that phone call or not. There's the decline button. With our friends, if they draw us into our negative habits, if they're trying to take us to places that are not good for us, we very kindly say, thank you, but I have something else that I need to do. We never want to push people away, with anger or by offending them or insulting them. You're no good for me. I don't want to see you anymore. That's not the attitude. You can just say, there is something else I need to do. So we need to identify the thought patterns that stimulate our habits, the environment, and the people that stimulate the bad habit. Now, we have a worksheet, and if there's anybody that doesn't have a worksheet, raise your hand. The worksheet, I can't remember, was it from yesterday? So, this is the worksheet about changing habits. Do we have any more of these? Shamini, are you here? Do we have any more of these? Who needs a worksheet? There's a lot of people who need. Didn't you get one yesterday? You did get one. You can just use your paper. Okay, you didn't get one, and I need one just to guide.
I'll go get one.
You'll make a few copies. Okay. Thoughts, environments, situations, and people. Okay, you can photocopy? Good. Right here? Super. Okay, we'll get more soon. We're going to start. Those of you who don't have a worksheet, let's get some paper.
Yes,
We have some paper for Lakshmi, please. Paper and a pen. And paper and a pen. Okay, and maybe a book. Do you have something to write on?
Pen.
Pen. Maybe a book. Do you have some of those? Okay. Does anybody else need paper and a book? You need paper. Can we give Dipti some more paper? Is that just one sheet? She doesn't need one sheet. Okay, Mariani, Dipti needs some more paper. But of course, Yogan has all the paper in the world.
Keep it, and if people need to continue. Might do not need it.
So let's take a look at, or write down again, the habit that you are determined to overcome. Okay. But just write it down again. And this is the beginning of the process, or if you already have the habit that you're going to let go of.
All kind of habits.
Any the one that you chose, the habit that you chose to conquer. You've left it behind, but now we're going to make sure you really have. You're going to clean it up. You may have left it behind, but has it left you behind? Okay? So just a very clear statement of the habit. Now write down.
Can I write more than one?
No, just one.
Just one.
Just one. Focus, concentration. Okay, the secret of success. One of the secrets. You work on one thing at a time. Focus all your energies. Concentrate. Do it, get it done, go on. Okay? So you all have it. Now, next point. What are the thoughts in your mind that make you do that habit? What are the thoughts? I don't have time. I'm tired. I need a rest. I need to do something else. What are the thoughts? And just take a moment, look in your mind, find the thought forms that push you into that habit. We're going to move on now to environment and people. And I want to mention, before you take a look at that environment is also internal. It's not just the places that we are and the people we are with. It is, certain attitudes that we have, and that's what we're trying to capture in this first one. It's a way of thinking, a way of being. And there are external environments, perhaps, that you are going to or not going to. What are the environments and the people?
Environment, can it mean like the inner emotions or feelings
Yes.
make me do that
Yes,
action?
exactly. That would be the inner environment. But where, in what situation? Environments and situations where you are most likely to engage in that habit pattern. And the people. Or things. We're surrounded by technology and devices and computers and iPads and Facebook and all kinds of distractions. That's part of our environment. So, when we're in cyberspace, what are we likely to do or not do? Let's move along now to the last phase of analyzing a habit pattern. A habit is a pattern, it's a series of steps. And normally, it's not just one action, but it's a series. It's one action that leads to another, that leads to another. For example, the person who smokes and doesn't want to, buying the packet of cigarettes is going to lead to smoking it. Even going to the store or getting in the car, is going to be the first step. And then it's like a dominoes. One step leads to another. Try to find the first step and the successive steps, actual steps, that lead to this habit. And for example, for me, it's turning on the computer. And then it's all over. I'm gone in another world. You see, if I didn't turn on the computer at certain times, I would be saved from a lot of things. But it's like the finger. How do you pull the finger back? But if you can catch it, you know what that first movement is. Then we can stop it. We can do something else. If your habit is emotional, for example, anger, what's the first movement? Okay, it's anger starts with a thought. Somebody was mentioning anger the other day. Who was it? Nobody is here. She's gone. Pragnya. Yes.
She's not here, I think.
She's not here. Anger. Starts with a thought. They didn't do what I wanted. I'm disappointed. They have offended me. Whatever it is, And then after that, it's all chemical. It really is. It's chemical. At that point, the chemicals and the hormones, they start flowing, and your body's happy because it's getting that adrenaline. And then there you go, and you might end up punching the person or fighting them or doing them harm. Rage. What is rage about? Think about it. You've been reading the news feeds lately. Nut rage. Did you catch the nut rage coming out of South Korea? You didn't get that. Well, let me tell you, just to show you how absurd it is when we have no self-control. Okay. There's a flight, South Korean Air major international flight was taking off, and the daughter of the chairman, who was a vice, this girl was a vice president. She's in first class, and they hand out the nuts, and it was given to her in a package of nuts rather than being served on a plate.
Oh, yes, I've heard.
Okay, so the nut rage. Okay, so she gets angry. She actually verbally and physically abuses the steward in the plane, and insists that the plane, which is already on the runway to take off, insists that it go back, that person be let off and fired.
Wow.
Just totally she was just arrested this morning, by the way. I mean, just emotions out of control. And you just the presumption. The presumption's behind anger too, isn't it? You know, we presume that somebody else should be acting in a certain way. Again, you catch the first thought, you know, and if you can nip it, nip it in the bud, and then we're going to change it around to something else. Okay, so let's take a look. What is the series of actions that leads you into that habit pattern? What are the series of thoughts if it's an emotional habit? Okay, is it clear? Let's just take a few moments and just trace it all the way back to that first thing you do, and then the second thing you do, and then the third thing you do, until you are inextricably into that pattern. So did you have any revelations? Any surprises? Could you trace it back? Anybody? No? Mine starts with having a hot drink in the morning when I wake up. Amazing. That's it. After that, a whole other series of things kick in. They're innocuous, right? Waking up and having a hot drink. Strange. I mean, I traced it back to that. Now, if I could change it right there, just right there, probably something else will happen. But there's the hot drink, and then there's this, and then there's that. All right. Now we're going to go back to the second point on the worksheet, which is what satisfaction do you get from, or what benefit from engaging in this negative habit? There's some reason. We talked about alcohol, a person wanting to relax and have a break, or smoking, possibly to be social and be with other people. Anger, it's an egoic satisfaction of thinking that people need to do what you want them to do. There's some satisfaction that you're getting from this habit that quite possibly is not negative. At least you're seeking it there. The person who drinks seeking peace and calmness, for example. Okay. So what do you obtain? Is it time saving? More opportunity for something else? Sleep too much? What's the satisfaction there? You just get to be out of it for a little longer. No, I'm not quite ready to get back into the battle of life. Let me sleep another hour, or a half hour, 20 minutes. So what's the satisfaction? See if you can find it. I have a silly example of a benefit from a bad habit. I just realized. I have a bad habit of not drinking enough water. And what's the benefit? I just realized, so I don't have to waste time going to the bathroom. That's it. You know, I mean, you drink a lot of water, you're always in the bathroom. You know, and especially in India, you might not find a clean bathroom. You know, so. And what's my actions, surrounding it. I mean, for me, it's not carrying water with me. Okay, but you see what I did? I bought right here in India a Nayaswami Blue water bottle that I really like. And it has a thing that, all these little things make a difference. I've had water bottles. I never take them with me. I lose my water bottles. Okay? I'm not gonna lose this water bottle because I really love it. It's everything about it is right. It's the right color, it's the right size. And it has a straw. I don't have to go back. It's one of these amazing water bottles where it's just like, drinking a Coca-Cola. You just sip. It's really important that when you're going to start a new habit, you have to really love it. It has to be just right. You've got to get it just right. I mean, I've been trying for years, and now, unfortunately, I'm attached to this bottle.
But you drink water though.
But I'm drinking water.
Okay.
But I'm drinking water. Okay.
Maybe
Now
it's a
the
higher dharma.
What? It's a higher dharma. Thank you very much. It's the higher dharma to drink the water. Okay. It seems silly, doesn't it? But that's how habits work. There's just little things that lead to little things. I've got to fill it up too. That's another step in the habit. And take it with me. Take it with me. Even as a clip, I can clip it onto my pants. All right. Okay. Now we're going to look at the other side. We've done the negative or yama side. To overcome a negative habit, we have to stop feeding it with thoughts and actions, environments, and people. That's it. You don't feed it anymore. But that's not enough, because the energy is still there. The energy that motivated that, and that energy can be coming from a zillion incarnations ago. And it's stronger than we are. Even when we make our determination to do it and start acting in new ways, it's like a boat that has a wake. The boat passes, but its wake, its ripples, remain behind it. So the habit that you're trying to get rid of, you can expect that it's going to have some ripples. It's kind of like an earthquake. It comes and then there's aftershocks and aftershocks, but the aftershocks get less and less powerful. So that's going to happen. So Yogananda says we need to develop a strong, positive, new habit that's going to redirect the energy into a new channel. And that's why I asked you to find out what satisfaction you've been receiving from that bad habit. There's something there. And now how are we going to redirect it? Taking on a new habit can be done very effectively, very efficiently, and in a short amount of time. Normally, Yogananda says it takes 7 years to overcome a deeply entrenched habit. Or you can do it in a thrice. That's the word he used. Thrice means a moment. A thrice? It just means, a thrice means a moment. You can do it like that. If it's conscious, and if you do it with full concentration, full determination, full willpower, and wisely, so that you take care of all levels. So you're going to look right now for the positive new habit you want to establish in your life this year. It could be the opposite of your bad habit. It could be that clear. It could be that simple. I'm not drinking enough water. This year I'm going to drink enough water. Okay. There it is. But then we've got to change things from the beginning. We've got to change the thoughts, and we're going to do that. So I'd like you to spend just a few moments in thinking, what positive habit do you want to establish? Something that's going to bring you closer to God. It could be more energization, or energization with more awareness, or more meditation, or a different kind of meditation. It could be being kinder to your colleagues. It could be supporting people. Think about it for a moment and find a new habit that you think will give you even more satisfaction than the old habit has been giving you. Clear? Let's spend a few moments in trying to find that new habit. Have you found the new habit that you want to develop this year? Just one. Right now, just one. I mean, you can develop many things, but one that you're going to focus on. So if you've found your new habit, just raise your hand, so I know where we are. Okay, good. Let's go on. Now, how are we going to wisely, consciously, and quickly develop this habit? We go to the anatomy of a habit, how it's formed. And the first part is the thought. You need to create a thought that's associated with that habit, a thought that's going to stimulate. It could be something like, let's take my silly thing with water. And I want to drink more water. So what could a thought be that would motivate me to do that?
Water is good for me.
Water is good for me. Drinking water is an investment in my health. Okay? I want to be healthy.
I can speak because it will not hydrate my.
Okay, yeah, right. Drinking water is good for speaking. Okay, but just the thing, I want to avoid bad health. We all do, right? Okay, so drinking more water will help me avoid sickness. Okay, I know that mentally, but still, drinking water is good for my health. I don't want to get sick. Something like that. Well, that'll come. That'll come. But first, it's the motivation. Why would I spend money on a water bottle and carry it with me? And there's airplanes and all kinds of things. Why would I do it? Because I want to be healthy. Why do I want to be healthy? So I can make spiritual progress. It all makes sense. Okay? But you got to get that thought, at least the one core thought. Maybe you want to meditate more. So you need that first affirmation. What is it? My soul loves to meditate. My soul loves to meditate. My ego hates it, by the way. Ego doesn't want us to meditate. It's going to keep us away. Okay? But just say to yourself, my soul loves to meditate. Or, when I meditate, everything is better. That's our experience, right? If we meditate deeply, everything goes much more smoothly. But we forget that because the ego says, you don't have enough time, you've got to get to work, you have so many responsibilities, you can't afford to dedicate this time. So we've got to get the thought that's really delightful. Meditation is blissful, whatever it is. So find a core thought that's an affirmation, and then we'll talk about how to use it. Okay? Find your affirmation. Create it yourself. Now, whenever your mind tries to push you towards your negative habit, you substitute it. And you just substitute it with this affirmation. But not only then, try to instill this affirmation very deeply within you. We did affirmation this morning. Practice this affirmation. Practice it first thing when you wake up. You open your eyes, and before you get out of bed, you repeat this affirmation. Right there, Yogananda says that when we change levels of consciousness, from subconsciousness to consciousness, right on the horizon is superconsciousness. It's interesting. Superconsciousness is not above consciousness. Superconscious state is between subconscious and conscious. So when we're coming out of sleep or going into sleep, these are two of the best times to practice affirmation. And just do it. You can just do it for a minute. Just repeat the affirmation. If you would like to create a little melody that goes on, that goes with your affirmation, that's fine too. It's really nice to sing your affirmation. Just if you're musically inclined, it's something that you might think of. Just create a little melody. But at these two times, when you're in bed, you just repeat that affirmation. Now, in addition to the wait, let me finish affirmation. There are other times that you can use to instill this affirmation. Remember, it's a groove. You've got to get it deep into your conscious, subconscious, and superconscious mind. So repetition, and repetition with concentration, is important. At the end of meditation, your mind is still, you're open to all levels of consciousness. Repeat your affirmation. Let your meditation finish with affirmation. Put it in whenever you want to, before prayers, after prayers. But do it. Do it. I mean, this is one of the benefits of meditation, is that it makes us receptive to changing consciousness at all levels. And this is one of Yogananda's main techniques. Affirmation and chanting. Many affirmations that we use are with chants, with music. I want only thee, Lord. Thee, only thee. That's an affirmation. That's my desire. I want only thee. And we have a little melody and we can sing it. So at the end of meditation, just take a minute. And with concentration at all three levels, out loud, quietly, whisper, and silently. So 4 levels, actually, of repeating the affirmation. So these are 3 times when you wake up, before you go to sleep, at the end of each meditation. And whenever you are doing an activity that doesn't require your full attention and is rhythmic, for at least that I find. For example, if you're walking. Normally, if you're walking, although it's difficult here, you set up a rhythm, a pace. And with that pace, you can repeat or sing your affirmation. I like doing it when I'm running, because, and you're just and also walking, running, you're so balanced, your hemispheres. It's just a good moment to use for the practice of affirmation. When you have downtime, you're sitting in your car queued up at the petrol station, and there's 4 cars in front of you. What are you going to do? Are you going to get angry at all the cars in front of you? Are you going to lament about something? That's normally what we do. Or you're standing in line at the bank, or you're standing in line at the post office. There it is, downtime, wasted time. And instead of being negative, use that time. Just repeat your affirmation. Or practice, just close your eyes, practice a moment of home solve, meditation, whatever you can. But find the moments, the wasted time, and fill it up with positive activities.
Suggestion. If people have people that they're regularly praying for, and they have a list of those people, they can add that affirmation to the list so that it will happen.
Okay, that's very good. So you read through your list, you prayed for everybody, and there's your affirmation. Put it on your refrigerator. Put it on your computer. Put it on your screen if you can. Whatever. By the way, I've just remembered that Swami Kriyananda reads all of the affirmations and prayers. It's an e-book. Isn't it? It is. Anyway, I have it loaded. So if you happen to choose an affirmation that's one of the 52 affirmations in the book, you can get Swami Kriyananda saying it, put it on a loop. You need to be clever. The ego is very clever. It's ingenious. It's subtle. And we need to be more clever. We need to think of all of the ways that we can stimulate ourselves, all of the opportunities that we can offer ourselves to do what we know is good for us to do. Thought precedes energy. The whole universe is a thought in the mind of the Creator. we start there. If we're going to change, we're going to change our thought. And to change our thought, we put in a new thought form. And we really put it in. We put it in every crack and crevice, every moment. Put it on your phone. Just do everything you can. Use all of the instruments that are available to you to help you remember that affirmation. Now, I have found it useful to combine the affirmation with a visualization, with an image, because image is often more powerful than thought. Animals don't think in thoughts like we do. They think in images. So let's say my silly habit, which is not my main one this year, but it's one of them, of drinking more water. So I have my affirmation, drinking makes me healthy. When I say it, I see myself happily drinking. I have my blue bottle, I'm really happy. So drinking makes, and there it is, I am drinking. I see myself drinking. If you want to get up earlier in the morning, for example, maybe that's a new habit. You want to get up a half an hour earlier, and you say, your affirmation is, I am awake and ready. See yourself waking up, jumping out of bed, joyfully, and going, I am awake and ready. I am awake and ready. Combine your affirmation with an affirmative image of yourself already doing that, or even already realizing the benefit. You want to meditate more? What's the benefit of meditating more? You can go into samadhi. So I love to meditate, and you see yourself in moksha. There it is. There you are in samadhi. Okay? So find that visualization. Take a moment just to make a note of that, and create for yourself that visualization. If any of you are wanting to increase or deepen your meditation or other spiritual practices, and would like to have this image or this aspiration of samadhi, Yogananda suggests that you memorize his poem, Samadhi, and that you repeat it every day. This is an incredible affirmation, because the words themselves have vibrations, because there are images that are associated with this that are amazing. Volcanic bursts of doomsday cataclysms, scylla's of sarcasm, not sure what a scylla is. And one of my favorites, colossal container eye of all things made. Isn't that thrilling? Colossal, just the word. Colossal container eye of all things made. I mean, just repeating that, it's like you're already there. Okay, here's the definition of a scylla. It's early on there. Scylla's of sarcasm.
Scylla is a rock on the Italian coast or something like that.
Well, it's actually
monster.
the monster that's on the rock. Scylla is from Greek mythology. It's a sea nymph that was transformed into a sea monster who lived on one side of a narrow strait, and she drowned and devoured sailors who were trying to escape from a whirlpool. Now there's a rich image. But now combine that with sarcasm.
Did Master write it in English?
He wrote it in English, of course. Yeah. He wrote it, by the way. He wrote this poem when he was riding on the New York Metro, the subway. He sat there and wrote this poem. And he said he just kept going from one end of the line to another. Just went back and forth in the subway until he finished. And then he said, and I don't think anybody even saw me. But this is an amazing poem, and it's just the height of affirmation. And just do a little at a time. Just do a few lines a day, put it up somewhere so you can, and then and repeat it to yourself, especially in meditation. It's just vanish the veils of light and shade, shadow, shade. Even that, vanished the veils of light and shade, lifted every vapor of sorrow. Oh, it's gorgeous, it's elegant, it's supreme. I mean, there's no words for it. So enjoy that. And so Master said, memorize it and repeat it every day. All right, let's move on and finish our little creating a new habit method. So you found your new habit, you found your affirmation, you have found your visualization, and now we need to look at a couple other things. The environment. What environments will help you, will be supportive? And just make a list of the environments that will be supportive to you in creating this new habit, and then make a determination to be there as often as you can, and together with that, the people. Who are your friends? Or the videos or the books that you can bring into your aura that will help you. So environment, people, and not present, what should I say, virtual, satsang, help. Everything that can help you. Just make a little list. And now the final step are actually the steps, the actions that you need to take. Now I gave you the example of buying the bottle, keeping the bottle filled up, making sure it was the right kind of bottle. The actions that will lead you, because that's what it comes down to. Because habit is repeated actions, constantly repeated actions. So what are the series of actions that you need to take in order to establish that habit? The series of actions that you will repeat again and again and again. Things that will remind you. Thank you. Things that will remind you. Reminders that you can put around. Like I said, putting reminders on your refrigerator, on your computer. I just realized that I could use my iPad to beep me, at certain times, to remember it's time to stop, it's time to meditate. Okay. All of those actions that you can do that will support this habit. So, what have you learned today? First day of the year. What's been most impressive to you?
I can do this.
I can do this, yes. It's doable. Yeah. And not only can we do it, we should do it. Master said being a master means mastering yourself. Okay? Having control of your energy, control of your thoughts, having control of your habits. You control your habits. You're not a slave of your habits. So we all want to become masters. And this is part of our process, is gaining mastery. I am in charge. Now, remember last night, in the fire ceremony and the purification, we need to enlist in our endeavors the higher powers, because they are on our side. They want us to do this. They're working for it. They will help us. If we make the effort, they will help us. What else did you learn, realize? Yes, Yogan.
What I found is that, dealing with this at the level of the mind, at the level of thought, is what I've done all these times. It's a very familiar way of dealing. but lifting myself up to a space beyond thought and trying to remain in that space automatically dissolves all.
This is the superconscious level, and that's why it's so important that we meditate. Because problems are here, solutions are here. If we get here, they resolve and dissolve. Very good. I would like to use just the last few minutes of this class for a few suggestions for those of us who are on the path of Kriya Yoga about our practices. You might want to take a look at each one of the practices and ask yourself, how can I improve it this year? And maybe just choose one of them. And before I forget, choose one of the masters as the patron saint, your patron saint this year, for helping you to establish this new habit, to be successful. Yeah? We have 5 of them. And if we don't engage them, they're unemployed, and we don't want them to be unemployed. Yes, Ratna?
Suppose when we are concentrating on one of the masters, then what do we do with the others?
They weren't jealous.
It's a conflicting for me. I don't know how to do that.
There are so many ways to bring all of the masters into our lives. You can dedicate a project to one of the masters and another project to another of the masters. I have things with Babaji, I've got other things with Sri Yukteswar, I've got other things with Yogananda. I spread it out. Also in my techniques. When I practice certain techniques, I practice with different ones of our masters. I practice energization with Master because he developed it. I practice second Kriya with Master because he developed it. I practice Om technique with Sri Yukteswar because he talked about it so much in the Holy Science. Okay, so I try to involve them. And with every practice of Kriya, I practice with one of the masters.
Okay,
okay?
Thank you.
Different ones, or maybe the same one for a while. Okay, so it's really not a problem. So look at each one of your practices and see, how can I bring more awareness? How can I energize better? Can I really get deeply into it? Can I feel the flow? Can I really bring, which muscles am I not bringing really strongly? I've discovered, for example, that when I do the recharging of the calves and the thighs together, I'm stronger in the calves and not so strong on the thighs. Okay, so I was just recognizing that and putting forth the energy to bring them both up. Just these little things. We always want to do better. More and better, as Sister Gyanamata said. The Hong Sa technique. Somebody was asking me about that. Can we be giving more time to it? The Kriya is a purification and it is a meditation, but Hong Sa, where does Hong Sa lead us? What is the goal of Hong Sa?
Breathless.
Breathlessness. Can we practice Hong Sa until we get to breathlessness? We should. We should, if that's our intention, to go really deep and get to breathlessness, between the breaths. The purpose of Hong Sa is not to keep breathing. Breath ties the soul to the body. We need to cut the cord of breath and get into breathlessness. That's what the purpose of Hong Sa is. Let's practice Hong Sa with that intention. With the Kriya, is it, going where it should? Through each of the chakras? Are we feeling cool? Are we feeling the warm? If not, we can do better. So we can do better. So anything that we're doing anyway, let's try to do it better. Better meaning more consciously, more deeply, feeling the flow, feeling the presence, getting the quality out of it. And please let's remember chanting. I talked today about affirmation, but let's remember chanting. Master said chanting is half the battle. What's the battle? What battle was he talking about?
Mental restlessness.
Mental restlessness, precisely. Mental restlessness in meditation. Chanting is half the battle. What does chanting accomplish for us? First of all, in itself, it's a pranayama. We're breathing, and it's regulating our breathing. It's focusing our minds on certain thoughts. It's an affirmation. We're grooving deeply into all levels of our mind when we're chanting. And then there's the vibration.
Being receptive.
Being receptive, opening the heart. It's an amazing practice. And it's something that we easily, especially when we're meditating on our own, we meditate in a group, we're going to chant. But when we meditate on our own, shine it on. Okay? But let's remember, even just a minute of chanting, just to bring us and the vibrations and to open us up. So Yogananda and all of the masters, they give so many tools to their disciples. And this year, let's take advantage of the tools we've received from whatever sources and try to do better, more if possible. Sister Gyanamata's phrase was more and better. Somebody asked her, if you had to do it all over again in this life, what would you change? And she said, her answer was, I would do more and better. So maybe we can take that as our motto for this year. Thank you very much for your kind attention and your participation. I hope it's been useful to you and that you will remember it and carry it forward so that at the end of the year you will have a well-established new positive habit in your life that's working for you, and that your old habit is no longer bothering you. Let's thank God and the Gurus for the time that we've been able to spend in their presence, deepening our understanding of their teachings, with the hope that in this year, every day in every way, we can help ourselves to move step by step closer to God realization, enlisting their divine presence, their support and guidance. Om.